Welcome to Fruit Snacks, a weekday podcast that covers big ideas about the Christian worldview in a bite-sized format. Hey everyone, this week we're going to revisit a topic that we covered a few weeks ago, which is ancient Hebrew cosmology. Basically, how the Israelites and other ancient Near Eastern peoples understood the world from their perspective and kind of how it worked and what made it go, and how that figures into some of the passages that we read in the Old Testament and even in the New Testament. Because if we understand how the Israelites conceived of creation, even if it's different from how we conceive of it, and it very definitely is different, it's going to help us arrive at a closer understanding of what the original writers intended in certain passages, and also how the original readers or hearers of a passage would have understood it and interpreted it. And so this week we're going to look at the big three pieces of creation as understood by the Israelites: the heavens, the earth, and the sea. And from Israelite thinking, those three things encompassed literally everything, all of creation. And we're going to talk about why that is this week. So as I just mentioned, Israelites thought of creation differently than us. And so today, we're going to dive into the heavens and understand how they would have conceived of this and why we need to wrap our heads around their thinking rather than try and understand or interpret the Bible as if it was speaking to us in our modern context with our modern scientific understanding. So all of creation consisted of these three parts: the heavens, the earth, and the sea. Now, for us as moderns looking at that, we would look at those three parts and we would probably approach that grouping as encompassing basically our planet, the planet Earth, that consists of, the sky, the land, and the oceans. But for Israelites and really ancient Near Eastern peoples, these three things weren't just the Earth and our planet. In fact, they didn't even think of Earth as a planet. These were everything. And I find it interesting, and many Old Testament scholars have pointed out that God did not seem to find it necessary to give the Israelites scientific information that would have fallen outside of their own worldview. In other words, God didn't bother to correct their thinking and orient them toward a more accurate or precise scientific understanding of the world, something like a heliocentric solar system rather than a geocentric solar system, things like that. So what can we say about the heavens here? Well, broadly speaking, the Israelites would have considered the heavens as basically being everything above, and that would have included everything, including birds, clouds, the stars, sun, the moon, but also things like spiritual realities. God and his angels were in the heavens. And the heavens consisted of really three parts. There were the lower heavens, then there was something known as the firmament, and then there were the upper heavens. Now, depending on the translation of the Bible that you use, you might not get this idea coming across very clearly, because the word for firmament in the Old Testament is sometimes updated by well-meaning translators to read as something like the sky in our modern English translations. But that is not how the Israelites would have understood it. From their perspective, the firmament was not something transparent or consisting of just air like how we understand the sky. The firmament was a solid, non-porous ceiling in the sky that separated heaven and, get this, the sea above. Yes, they believed in an ocean or sea above the earth, and we'll get to that this week, and the earth itself. so that these things, the waters above and God and the heavenly realms, were separated from earth like a dome. And we know that this is how they conceived of it, because the Old Testament writers will, when they refer to the firmament, they will refer to it as if it's a solid ceiling. They'll describe it in terms of like a dome or a tent. And we see this in passages like Psalm 104, verse 2, Isaiah 40:22, and 2 Samuel 22:8, and Haggai 2:6. Now, the firmament, in addition to being a solid boundary between the spiritual realm and the earthly realm, it also separated the lower heavens from the upper heavens. And the lower heavens would have been anything above, just like we had said earlier, but that could be seen. And that is, for the Israelites, birds, clouds, all the way up to planets and stars. Because in their thinking, if the firmament is solid and God and his angels are beyond the firmament, then anything that we can see, even in the night sky, is below the firmament. It's part of the lower heavens, which means that the birds are the closest thing to us, and they can cross between the heavens and the earth, but that distant planets and stars were also below the firmament because they were visible to us from our perspective on earth. And that would have contrasted with the upper heavens, which is everything above that cannot be seen because it's on the other side of the firmament. And that would have specifically referred to the spiritual realm, God and his throne room and his heavenly attendants. And we see examples of this in Psalm 11:4 and in Isaiah 6, where Isaiah gets a vision of the heavenly throne room, the heavenly temple, which is above the firmament, and God and his presence and his robes, his royal adornment fills all of the space. And again, this is not visible to us here, but it's real according to Isaiah's vision. It's just not visible. And so I want us to start off this week by getting a little bit of a different understanding of how the Israelites would have thought of something like this, specifically the heavens. And throughout our main focus this week on Wednesday and Friday, we're also going to talk about how they would have seen the earth differently and also the seas. So I hope that you'll tune in throughout this week. I think it's a really interesting topic and certainly will shed new light on how to understand certain things that are being talked about and discussed in the Old Testament.